welcome to this conversation. I've got two very special people with me. Sanjana Kiran is a psychologist and a dear friend of mine. And I've got D Girish, who played wonderful cricket for Tamil Nadu, has been part of a Ranji Trophy winning team. And now, having given up a career with technology organizations, he's launched, along with Sanjana and his friends, an app called Equilii. Let's try and understand what this is all about. Girish, let me start with you by asking, what is it that made you think of Equilii in the first place?
There are two aspects to it. One is there is a lot of support for the sportsmen from a skills perspective and physical training, strength and conditioning, and analytics. There is a lot of technology that is applied to sport. But there is very little focus on the mental health or the mental resilience or the mental well-being of a sportsman. So I started working on how do I create this awareness to sportsmen. And I found out that the best way to deliver it is through an app which can reach the grassroots levels and development levels and the professional athletes as well. So all of them at various stages need some support of this kind of mental resilience support is what I mean. And the best way to reach out to the masses, to a majority of the sportsmen, is through an app, which I figured out during my conversations with Sanjana and various others. And that's the reason I think, given the technology background that I have, a little bit of experience in product development. So both of them helped me to mesh together an app which we can take it to all levels, from grassroots development to professional levels.
Sanjana, you have been working in this field for a number of years now. You work with international athletes and you've worked with all of them. You've done face-to-face work. Do you really believe that an app can work in this area of mental health and of resilience? You really believe that an app can make a difference to people?
Partly, yes, not 100%. Yeah, because both Girish and I and our team very strongly believe that an app can never replace a psychologist, the individual consultations and that human touch. But a large part of it can be kind of like, covered. So in terms of, like Girish said, creating self-awareness, taking them through a journey of self-discovery, right? And then also giving them some kind of assistance that makes them feel supported, especially for those who don't have that kind of support. So it's almost like some support is better than no support at all. We can get them. And that those aspects of our work, for example, when I work with my international athletes, I'm not with them 100% of the time. So since as far as 2004, I've been doing partly with them and partly online from the Skype days, correct? So there are those aspects of sports psychology that can be done online. And certainly there are those aspects where a human touch is very important. So we are kind of trying to cover those parts which can be done online.
Sanjana, just before we got on this call, you were telling me how this is not really the whole gamut of sports psychology, but it is primarily resilience. Can you tell me why you chose only resilience as a key part of what the app is doing? And tell me why other aspects of sports psychology are not included in the app.
A good part of sports psychology is observing athletes while they're training, when doing the competitions. A good part of it also is, to allow them opportunity to be able to ask you questions and you talk to them. And then there is a counseling aspect to sports psychology as well. All of that a digital format can't do, a 100% digital format like what we have, right? Other than that, everything else an app can do. So that is what I meant when I told you that, all part of sports psychology can't be covered in an app.
Girish, since this idea came from you, you were the one who thought of this and you kind of roped in both your partners, Vijay and Sanjana. Tell me, what is it which aspect of psychology appealed to you the most? And are you happy with just resilience being the key focus area of this app, Equilii?
See, there are a few things that the app will accomplish. One is to create awareness of sports psychology, which is pretty low in this currently. in the sporting ecosystem. The second aspect is the affordability. There is a lot of gap in terms of the ability to spend on a sports psychologist and what the sports psychologist offer. And the other part is also the stigma of sports. When you say psychologist, there is also the stigma of psychologist going to a psychologist, getting a child to go to a psychologist. These are the gaps that we wanted to fill. And definitely we want to start off at the basic level, the fundamental level. We are also looking at the product roadmap, which has 3 levels. The first level will be the basic fundamentals, which will deal with the mental resilience of an athlete at a foundation level. The next level will be a more game-specific application. The third level will be a more individual-specific, because each game, a team game or a individual game or a contact sport, all of them need a different kind of mental makeup. So we want to go to the next level when we are able to manage these kind of situations. So definitely we want to start off at a very fundamental level where it's very easy to use for everyone, because these are early stages in the journey as far as mental resilience goes. I always give this example of how the other parts of this support ecosystem in a sportsman's life have evolved. Like the 1983 World Cup, Indian team did not have a coach. From there, today you see there are about 15-20 sports support staff in every team. So that we believe that this will evolve, and this is just a starting point, and we have a long journey ahead of us. And hopefully we look forward to a wonderful journey ahead of us.
And can you just walk me through the steps that an athlete needs to undertake to understand what really the app is all about? Can you just walk me through it?
So basically, when you log in, obviously, we will welcome you. Then you will get to understand what we are, what our app is about, what our app can do, and what it can't do. Earlier, what I missed out saying is when an athlete works with a psychologist in a one-to-one situation, there could be indications of, depression, anxiety, and other mental health concerns that might come up, that might show up. But our app is not designed for that, right? So those are the details you will get, and you'll also understand how to go about the app itself. And then once you're through, we are very particular about ethics and confidentiality. So you will land to a page after you register and subscribe, where it will Equilii will help you understand what are the confidentiality terms. It will take you through informed consent, and if you're 17 years and below, then it will nudge you to get permission from your parents or guardians, because we are going as per Indian laws of what is a child and what is an adult. We're also going as per guidelines of American Psychological Association, which is what sports psychologists across the world kind of follow. And once they're through that, then of course there's a lot of psychoeducation on why mental skills is important for you. Then they go through a needs analysis. So for various psychological themes, for example, their self-confidence, or are they feeling burnt out? So there'll be a needs analysis and profiling that will help them understand where they are in that psychological area and what are some things they can improve on. Based on that, once they're through it, they will find themselves in a place where a mind skills training is suggested for them as per their needs analysis or profiling. And every step of the way, there are mind skills training exercises for them to do, audios, videos. We have scaffolding activities to actually help them discover themselves better, become more self-aware. We have a lot of psychoeducation, helping them understand every single mental skills activity they do and the importance of it. And once they're through the program, then of course they have a post analysis for them to see how much they've grown, what areas they've grown better, what areas they can grow further, and then they move on to the next and the next and the next.
Girish, while I understand profiling happens, it is an essential part of psychology. As an athlete, will you be comfortable doing all of this, sharing information with somebody who you have not seen? Do you reckon that India and Indians are ready for some kind of an app like this, where they share their background, where they tell their stories, and then try and find solutions? Do you think India is ready for that, Girish?
Yes, the first part is we capture only some very basic information like demographics and what kind of games they play, and nothing which is supposed to be confidential to an individual or very personal to an individual. We don't really track all that. We don't track any clinical parameters at all, as Sanjana explained in her earlier. And this is more of like performance psychology that we're looking at. And in fact, before we started off this whole exercise, we had an interviews with about 40 or plus sportsmen across games, including some very senior cricketers and sportsmen who are representing the country. And we asked this question, definitely this question to them. They were all really comfortable with it. And as a sportsman, I would definitely not mind sharing whatever information we are collecting from the on the app, because knowing that this is going to help me in some way or the other. Today, sports being so competitive, and there is so much at stake where children, these sportsmen have to choose between a career and career option, either academics or sports. They would like to give 100% to the game and see how they can make this a career. So all of them were very sure that they will want to use this app. They were willing to share a lot of information, which is not really personal, nothing very personal about their family or anything. It's just about the game and how their mental makeup, some psychometric tests and those kind of data. They had no qualms about sharing that data. And we also, and they also said, as long as it is confidential, and it gives them the independence of managing the data themselves. Like, for example, whom to share this data with, whom to show or whom not to show. If it is in their control, they were absolutely sure about using it. They were really confident about it.
So the confidentiality and informed consent contract we get them to sign would have clearly explained what we do with that information, how protected it is, right? And how it won't go to anyone unless they have given permission for a coach to have a look at it or a parent to have a look at it. Only for those who are 17 and below, as per laws, the guardian or the parent will have access to perhaps their progress reports. But everything is 100% confidential, because through this app, how I've designed the program is to mimic what I would do with my athlete in person. How would I give them that safety net where they feel comfortable sharing information? And like Girish mentioned, we are not collecting any information that is very personal to them. The questions, we have actually formulated our own Equilii scales. We are not using scales off the shelf, because what happens with those scales is they capture a good part of it, not all of it, because we're missing out on the observation part of the athlete and talking to the athlete. So based on my experience, I've also included additional questions which can help me tap that information as well. But at any point, again, which is very clearly stated in an informed consent, at any point, the athlete can withdraw that information from the app. At any point they choose to, or a parent, if they choose to withdraw that information, they can. So they are completely covered through that.
Yeah, we give them an option of writing a journal, which only they have access to. Even the app doesn't have access to it. They can always make a note of it in their journal and talk to whoever they think might be able to help them. So this is just a tool that will help them to become more aware of themselves and know where to seek help, how to seek help, how to improve. They have to feel that they are improving themselves. That is the idea behind the whole app.
That this is also why this is a very good tool for sports psychologists as well. So whatever the athletes write and do on the app, they have access to show it to whoever they want to show, because it's their information. And for a psychologist working with an athlete, they don't have to schedule, they don't have to chase after them, they don't have to remind them. They don't have to worry about, is this athlete following a program? They don't have to spend a lot of time building that information for the athlete. So everything is there. The sports psychologist now can use that time to have those conversations with the athlete. And our app is a very good conversation starter, even for the most shy or the more reluctant athlete. So this was the direction in construction of it in the first place. It's not just one psychological area, right? It is very broad. So when I talk about mental resilience, I'm talking about focus, motivation, attention, concentration, self-confidence, burnout, injury management, emotional intelligence, communication, leadership, team cohesion. And there's just so many, the mindset they have, be it a winning mindset or a competition mindset or a post-training or pre-training mindset. I have about 50 over topics just under mental resilience, right? And we're also trying to help them understand, what are their aspirations for life, making them more self-aware of their well-being. So well-being is also a part of the app, but we're not putting the term well-being a lot out there because we don't want individuals to mistake this to be a clinical psychology app. Because if it's performance related anxiety, our app can help you. But if you're going through, for example, a generalized anxiety disorder, which is a clinical situation, our app is not for you. If you're going through a clinical depression, our app is not for you. So moving forward, what I intend to do is also recognizing that most athletes don't know whether what they're going through is performance related or psychiatry related, for example. Moving forward, what I intend to do is have a module on how to recognize signs and symptoms that something is not okay with you, and then help them understand the difference between a sports psychologist and a clinical psychologist. What is a psychiatrist? What do the psychiatrists do? And who are the people they need to take support from? So mental resilience might seem limited, but it's a lot. And then when we talk about athlete mental health, right? Most of the athlete mental health concerns are emanating from the fact that the training and competitions have become largely traumatic. So whether an athlete is passionate to start with, or whether an athlete had some kind of an arranged marriage where they were recruited to bring in medals, the more they're looking at the outcome of these endeavors, which is what competition sport is about, the more traumatic the training and competitions become because they want so much out of every experience and every endeavor, correct? So these then becomes triggers to their mental illnesses, to mental health issues. So by taking care of mental resilience, I might not be able to prevent mental ill health for them, especially if it is pre-endoed, especially if it is something like a post-traumatic stress disorder. But I want to believe that the intensity of it will be much lower. So if they can handle the performance related aspects of it. And also keeping in mind that the ecosystem is also responsible for their mental health, right? Our app does have modules for coaches and parents, but the app does not have training for parents and coaches, correct? So through these modules, we hope to help the parents and coaches understand that the intention of what they're doing is correct, but perhaps some of their ways might not be the best for the athlete, with the hope that they get educated, right? Now, knowing that it is not just the parents and coaches, it's the entire sports ecosystem from administrators to the hostel warden, for example, and or to the tournament officials. Our app can't provide this full protection for the athlete. That is why our app is aimed at making the athlete self-resilient. So the conversations we have through our mental skills training are to help the athlete become mental resilient, because if they understand what is happening to them, if they understand how much of it is under their control and how much of it is beyond their control, then they can invest their energy on working on what is within their control. So this is the theme throughout our mind skills training, throughout our scaffolding activities, throughout our psychoeducation, features we have for them. So that is what I can say.
Now, Girish, tell me who thought of the name Equilii?
Yeah, we did a lot of research. We spent a lot of time. I have a lot of my daughters and my nieces. All of us put our heads together and came up with this something. We wanted this to be something close to. We didn't want to have the word mental at all. So we wanted to have something like equilibrium or stability and those kind of words, which will be very positive to the user. So equilibrium is something which everybody wants to attain. So from equilibrium, we kind of wanted to make this very nice, catchy name, because all the apps normally have a 4 or 5 letter, or all apps have 4 or 5 letter words. So 5 letters, 5 or 6 is what max we wanted to have. And we've tried to play around the word equilibrium, and then that's how we got to this name, Equilii. And it was unanimously accepted by the girls at home. So that's how we went. I went ahead.
Also, will you tell me what does it entail? How much does an athlete need to pay to download the app, and what is the revenue model for you? It would have cost you a small fortune to develop the app and to even think of all the possible questions that can come up, the number of exercise that you would have included. And Sanjana pointed out 50 areas in which work has been done.
And a little correction, Raj. I said there are 50 over themes in my list, but we don't have all of them on the app, hopefully at some point. So we are starting with a few themes that are very key and important. And as the time goes, we'll keep adding on more and more and more themes, because we also have to look at level 2, like Girish was talking about, where we'll make it very sports specific, and level 3, where we'll make it very individual specific.
What does it cost the athlete if he's going to download an app like this?
Yeah, see, we're definitely it will be working on a subscription model, a monthly, quarterly, or annual subscription model, and the cost is going to be very, very affordable. Right now, we are still working on our pricing strategy based on the usage, and how do we deliver it to them on a very, very affordable basis. One thing I can assure you, though we have not zeroed in on the number, it will be very, very affordable to the grassroots level sportsmen to use. It will be in, just to say, it will be in probably a few hundreds per month and not thousands, not in thousands. That much we can. That's what we are targeting.
Have you started small, chosen only one platform? What is it? Just share with me what you're doing.
We are using a hybrid platform, but we're going to release the Android app first, followed by the iOS app probably in a month or 2. Because the user interface, UI, UX will be a little different for each. So we wanted to start off with the bandwidth we have. We want to start off on a hybrid platform, but releasing the Android version first, and then followed it with the iOS version.
Sanjana, will you tell me how enjoyable this was for you, this whole exercise of putting together the core areas and then everything else in the app? How enjoyable was it for you?
Well, from the time I said no to Girish first, and I said, no, this is wrong. Having sports psychology or anything psychology on an app is wrong. Till the time I said yes, and till now, it's been very, it's been a huge learning curve. I've had to unlearn a few things the way I do, because most of who I work with are elite athletes, 1, 2. But all of those journeys living with those athletes were very, very useful when I was kind of creating the program itself, putting all of it together. In terms of making sure that even a grassroots level athlete and developmental athlete and elite athlete have something for them, because this is for everyone. Our fundamentals have to be right, correct? So kind of like, I wouldn't use the terminology dumbing it down, because that is used in IT a lot. It was not that, but making complex things simpler to a point where they can kind of understand, but it doesn't lose its essence. That was the biggest challenge, right? But nevertheless, it has been a super satisfying journey. And, we are 5 of us in a core team. We have a lot of discussions. We agree to disagree, but mostly we agree. And, the common thread between everyone is the intention is very clear. The intention is that this app is not about us, it is about the user. So how can we make their life easier? How can we promote a pleasant journey or a more pleasant journey for these individuals who use the app? So that is a, kind of direction in our head from all of us.
Will you echo that, Girish?
Absolutely. It's a wonderful journey so far. I won't call it a journey. Journey is something very long. We just started. And we've been having wonderful conversations every day. We have for 3 or 4 conversations. We have meetings. We burn the midnight oil, and the real challenge is productizing the flow that Sanjana is having. And Sanjana is also able to visualize how the app does from a domain perspective. She's able to visualize from a user perspective. We have a CTO, Vijay, who's got a lot of experience in the product side. He's able to give a lot of inputs with his experience on how do we productize it, how do we bring in the stickiness on the app, how do we make it a very secure app, what kind of technology we need to apply on making the app easier to use. Then we have also my Nadeem, who's my son-in-law, who's quit his job in Whitehead Junior to join us in this journey. It's him joining, him having the faith in joining us has been a real motivation for us. And we also have Sudhir, a product manager based in Bangalore. So it's been a really good team, very cohesive team with very common ideas and the mindsets. See, all 5 of us have the same agenda and the mindset, which makes it easier for us to work. So this has been a really enjoyable journey, and I hope it kind of remains the same.
Is there something that I should have asked Girish and haven't asked yet? Is there something that you wanted to share that I did not ask yet?
It's not much that I can think of. The real success for the app will be how the users find it, how useful it is for them, how they are able to feel it themselves. We are going to give them a lot of qualitative and quantitative assessments and reports. But the real thing is for the sportsmen to use it effectively and put it to practice and feel the effectiveness of the app so that they improve on the mental side. And this becomes a long journey for them.
Sanjana, did I skip anything that you wanted to share and I did not ask you?
I want this app to be an athlete's buddy because they can use it wherever they want, on the way to training, after training, before bed, when they are holed up in quarantines or in their bio bubbles, competitions. And it does not take a lot of their time, a maximum of 30 to 45 minutes each time they log in, correct? That's one thing. And another, like Girish correctly mentioned, it is really for them to try it and make a decision how helpful it is. Like I said before, we're not trying to replace the sports psychologist, but this is, I want to believe that if you spend some time on the app, it is going to benefit you. It won't harm you. That guarantee I give. And the last thing I would say is, growth in a mental resilience takes over a few years. So they need to be patient. So once they've completed one psychological area, and when they complete the second and third, perhaps that is when they see more growth, because all these things are interlinked in our mind and our brain. So if they can understand that at some point, that would be a huge winner for me.
In the next phase, we also want to bring in a module for the coaches and parents as well. So for them to effectively manage their wards, we want to have something similar to what we are developing, but on a scaled down, maybe a scaled down version, which will help them to remain calm and be more effective when dealing with the sportsmen.
Does the app have audios and videos as well, or is it just text?
No, there's a mix. There is a lot of audio, video. There's what we call the psychoeducation. At every stage, there is a lot of education that we provide, but we try to ensure that it doesn't become too monotonous for them. Every stage, we have a couple of 2-minute, 3-minute videos on awareness, what psychology is, what sports psychology is, how the app can be useful to them, and what each parameter or theme means and how it will help them. So there is a lot of audio and video there. And also the activities are all videos, audio AV files, which will play on the app when they're doing the activities. It's a combination of all audio, video, and text.
Sanjana and Girish, I can't tell you how excited I am having heard you speak about the app, and how excited I am, in fact, that somebody is doing something like this. There are a number of books here which have got to do with the mind. All of them are from overseas. There is so little stuff done in India. I'm really proud of what you've done, and wish you all the very best. Thank you very much for what you have done for the sport.
Thank you, Raj. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.